The Liberation of Fabric, a complete history of bikinis and short dresses. Opening. What we wear tells the story of who we are and who we're fighting to become. For thousands of years, women's bodies have been battlegrounds of morality, politics, and power. The bikini and the short dress aren't just pieces of fabric. They're symbols of revolution, liberation, and the eternal struggle between tradition and freedom. This is the story of how showing a little more skin changed everything. Chapter 1. Ancient Origins. The Body Before Shame. Our story doesn't begin in the 20th century. It begins thousands of years ago when the concept of modesty looked very different than it does today. In ancient Rome, around 300 AD, women athletes wore what we'd recognize today as bikinis. The famous Bikini Girls mosaic from the Villa Romana del Casale in Sicily shows young women competing in sports, wearing two-piece garments that wouldn't look out of place on a modern beach. These weren't scandalous, they were practical, athletic, normal. In ancient Greece, garments called chitons were often short, revealing the legs during physical activity. The human body wasn't inherently shameful, it was celebrated in art, sculpture, and daily life. But something changed. As civilizations evolved and religions spread, the body became something to hide. By the Middle Ages in Europe, showing an ankle was considered provocative. Women were wrapped in layers upon layers of fabric, their bodies erased beneath yards of cloth. The journey back to freedom would take centuries, and it would be fought inch by inch, hemline by hemline. Chapter 2. The Victorian Prison. By the 19th century, Western women's fashion had reached peak restriction. The Victorian era wasn't just about covering skin, it was about controlling the female form itself. Women wore corsets that cinched their waists to dangerous proportions, causing fainting, organ damage, and even death. Dresses weighed up to 30 pounds, with bustles, crinolines, and petticoats creating massive silhouettes. Hemlines touched the ground, necklines reached the chin. Sleeves covered every inch of arm. Even table legs were covered because they were considered too suggestive. But beneath this suffocating fabric, something was stirring. Women were beginning to demand change not just in what they wore, but in how they lived. The suffragette movement of the late 1800s and early 1900s connected women's political freedom with physical freedom. How could women fight for the vote if they couldn't even breathe properly in their clothes? In 1851, Amelia Bloomer shocked society by advocating for bloomers, loose trousers worn under a shorter skirt. The backlash was immediate and vicious. Newspapers mocked her, clergy condemned her, but she'd planted a seed. Fashion reform was coming, and it couldn't be stopped. Chapter 3. The Roaring Twenties, the First Revolution. Then came the Roaring Twenties, and everything changed. After World War I, women had tasted independence. They'd worked in factories, driven ambulances, kept society running while men were at war. They weren't going back to corsets and floor-length skirts. Enter the flapper. The flapper dress was revolutionary. Hemlines rose to just below the knee, the shortest they'd been in centuries. Waists dropped, corsets disappeared. Women could move, dance, and breathe. This wasn't just fashion, it was rebellion. Flappers cut their hair short, wore makeup, smoked cigarettes, drank alcohol during Prohibition, and danced to jazz music. They dated without chaperones. They drove cars. They worked jobs. The short dress was their uniform of independence. Fashion designer Coco Chanel was at the forefront of this revolution. She created simple, comfortable designs that freed women from the elaborate constructions of the past. Her little black dress, introduced in 1926, was short, simple, and accessible. But society wasn't ready to fully embrace this freedom. Schools measured girls' hemlines with rulers. Churches preached against the moral decay of short skirts. Several US states even attempted to pass laws regulating dress length. In 1921, a bill was proposed in Virginia to fine women whose dresses were more than 3 inches above the ankle. It didn't pass, but the attempt revealed the anxiety that women's liberation caused in conservative circles. The battle for the hemline had begun, and it was just getting started. Chapter 4: Swimwear Evolution, from bathing gowns to bare skin. While hemlines were rising on land, an even more dramatic revolution was happening at the beach. In the 1800s, women didn't swim, they bathed. And they did it fully clothed. Victorian bathing costumes consisted of long dresses, bloomers, stockings, shoes, and even hats. Women entered the water using bathing machines, wheeled cabins that protected their modesty as they dipped into the sea. The idea of showing skin at the beach was unthinkable. In 1907, Australian swimmer Annette Kellerman was arrested in Boston for wearing a one-piece swimsuit that revealed her legs. Her crime? Indecent exposure. But Kellerman fought back. She became a vaudeville star and silent film actress, performing in her revolutionary swimsuit and advocating for women's right to swim freely. She's often called the woman who taught the world to swim. By the 1920s, swimwear was evolving. One-piece suits became shorter and tighter. Arms and legs were exposed. Women's Olympic swimming was introduced in 1912, making athletic swimwear more acceptable. In the 1930s, designers began experimenting with two-piece swimsuits. The midriff started to appear, backs became lower, fabric clung to the body. But these early two-pieces were modest by modern standards, high-waisted bottoms and modest tops that covered most of the torso. They were stepping stones towards something more daring. Then came World War II. Fabric was rationed. The U.S. War Production Board ordered a 10% reduction in fabric used for women's swimwear. Designers had to get creative with less material. This wasn't liberation, it was necessity, but it paved the way for what came next. Chapter 7: The 1970s to 1990s, Diversification and Backlash. The 1970s took the miniskirt to new extremes. Hot pants, extremely short shorts, became a fashion phenomenon. Women wore them with knee-high boots, creating a look that was both powerful and provocative. The decade also saw the rise of the athletic tanned body as an ideal. Farrah Fawcett's iconic 1976 poster showing her in a red swimsuit with her golden hair and radiant smile sold 12 million copies. Bikinis got smaller. The string bikini emerged with minimal coverage held by thin strings. The thong bikini, popularized in Brazil, pushed boundaries even further. The 1980s brought fitness culture to the mainstream. Jane Fonda's workout videos, aerobics classes, and the athletic body ideal meant that showing skin was increasingly associated with health and fitness, not just sexuality. The 1990s gave us Baywatch, the most watched TV show in the world, featuring lifeguards in red swimsuits running in slow motion. Pamela Anderson became a global icon. The show was broadcast in 142 countries. This was the supermodel era. Cindy Crawford, Naomi Campbell, Claudia Schiffer, these women in bikinis and short dresses weren't just models, they were celebrities, entrepreneurs, and cultural forces. MTV music videos pushed visual boundaries. Madonna wore cone bras designed by Jean-Paul Gaultier. TLC wore baggy clothes and bikini tops. Hip-hop and pop culture created new aesthetics that mixed athletic wear with revealing clothing. But not everyone celebrated this freedom. The 1980s and 90s also saw the rise of religious conservatism in various forms. Modesty movements gained traction in some communities. Dress codes became stricter in many schools and workplaces. The conversation became more complex. Was wearing a bikini liberation or objectification? Who got to decide? These questions didn't have simple answers. Chapter 8: The 21st Century. Choice, controversy, and complexity. The 21st century brought a new dimension to the debate: the internet and social media. Suddenly, everyone could see everything. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, platforms where millions share photos and videos of themselves, often in bikinis and short dresses. The conversation went global and instant. The body positivity movement emerged, challenging traditional beauty standards. Plus-size models like Ashley Graham appeared in Sports Illustrated. Brands began featuring models of different sizes, ages, and ethnicities in bikinis. Bikini design diversified dramatically. High-waisted retro styles came back. Cut-out one-pieces blurred the line between bikinis and one-piece suits. Burkinis, full-coverage swimwear for Muslim women, entered mainstream retailers. Rihanna's Savage X Fenty fashion shows featured women of all sizes, races, and body types in revealing lingerie, challenging narrow beauty ideals while celebrating sexuality. But controversies persisted. School dress codes disproportionately targeted girls for wearing shorts and tank tops. The debate about whether these codes protected students or policed female bodies intensified. In 2016, France saw heated debates over burkini bans on some beaches, the opposite of historical bikini bans, but equally about controlling what women wear. The irony wasn't lost on many. Whether forcing women to cover up or uncover, the common thread was men making rules about women's bodies. The Me Too movement sparks new conversations about consent, objectification, and empowerment. What does it mean to choose to wear revealing clothing? Is it empowering? Is it conforming to male gaze? Can it be both? Neither? Environmental concerns also entered the conversation. Sustainable swimwear brands emerged, creating bikinis from recycled ocean plastics. Fast fashion's impact on the environment became part of the discussion. And now we're entering the era of virtual fashion. Digital clothing, metaverse fashion shows, and NFT outfits raise new questions. What does it mean to wear something that only exists online? Today, walk down any beach and you'll see incredible diversity. Bikinis, burkinis, one-pieces, board shorts, tankinis, and everything in between. The variety itself is revolutionary. The fight isn't over. Women's clothing is still policed, debated, and controlled in many contexts, but we've come a long way from the days when showing an ankle was scandalous. Chapter 9: The Deeper Meaning: Why Clothing Matters. So what does all this mean? Why does it matter what we wear? Because clothing is never just clothing. It's power, politics, and identity stitched into fabric. Every time a woman wore something society deemed inappropriate, whether bloomers in 1851, a knee-length dress in 1921, a bikini in 1946, or a miniskirt in 1965, she was making a statement. My body is mine. I decide. The history of bikinis and short dresses is ultimately the history of women claiming autonomy over their own bodies. It's about freedom of choice, the freedom to cover up or show skin based on personal preference, not societal mandate. A woman in a bikini is no less liberated than a woman in a string bikini if both are wearing what they choose. The goal isn't to make everyone dress the same way, it's to ensure everyone has the right to choose. Today's fashion landscape offers more options than ever before, but the struggle continues in different forms. Dress codes that target women, online harassment of women in swimsuit photos, impossible beauty standards perpetuated by filtered images, countries where women still can't choose their own clothing. The future of fashion will likely bring even more diversity, more technology, and hopefully more freedom, but it will also bring new challenges we can't yet imagine. What we can say with certainty is this: the women who fought to wear bloomers, the flappers who raised their hemlines, the athletes who demanded practical swimsuits, the designers who created the bikini, the models who wore the miniskirt, they were all part of a continuous revolution. They fought so that today a woman can go to the beach and just be, swim, play, relax, without layers of fabric weighing her down, without shame. That's what the bikini and the short dress represent, the right to exist in your body on your terms. Fashion will keep changing. Hemlines will rise and fall, new styles will emerge and fade, but the underlying principle that women deserve autonomy over their own bodies and choices, that's the thread connecting all of these stories. From ancient Rome to modern beaches, from Victorian corsets to string bikinis, from floor-length skirts to mini dresses, this is the story of liberation, 1 inch of fabric at a time. The revolution isn't over. It's just changing shape. What will you wear tomorrow? Whatever you choose, remember, that choice is freedom someone fought for. Thank you for watching. Chapter 10: The Designer Revolution. Creative minds who changed everything. Behind every hemline that rose, behind every bikini that shocked the world, there was a designer with a vision. Let's talk about the creative revolutionaries who literally reshaped how we think about the human form. Louis Réard, the automotive engineer turned designer, didn't just create the bikini, he understood marketing genius. He knew that naming his creation after a nuclear test site would generate controversy, and controversy sells. He once said that a two-piece suit wasn't a genuine bikini unless it could be pulled through a wedding ring. That's how minimal he envisioned it. But Réard had competition. Jacques Haim, a French fashion designer from a family of furriers, created his version called the atome, named after the smallest particle of matter. He advertised it as the world's smallest bathing suit. The rivalry between Réard and Haim pushed both designers to create increasingly daring designs. Then there's Rudi Gernreich, the Austrian-American designer who gave us the monokini in 1964, essentially a topless swimsuit. It was banned almost everywhere, but it started conversations about body freedom that continue today. Gernreich was ahead of his time, predicting that by the 1980s, topless swimwear would be normal. He wasn't entirely right about the timeline, but he understood the direction culture was heading. Mary Quant deserves an entire documentary of her own. This British designer didn't just create the miniskirt, she created an entire aesthetic of youth rebellion. She opened her boutique, Bazaar, on King's Road in London in 1955, and it became ground zero for the fashion revolution. Quant designed clothes for young women who worked, who had their own money, who wanted to dance and move freely. She said, "I wanted everyone to retain the grace of a child and not to have to become wooden and formal." André Courrèges, the French designer, independently created miniskirts around the same time as Quant. His Space Age collection in 1964 featured white go-go boots and mini dresses that looked futuristic. He envisioned women as modern, powerful, and unencumbered by traditional fashion constraints. Emilio Pucci brought color and pattern to resort wear and short dresses in the 1950s and 60s. His vibrant psychedelic prints on short silk dresses became symbols of jet-set luxury. Pucci understood that women on vacation wanted to feel free, glamorous, and uninhibited. In Brazil, designer Rose de Prima Lux created the tanga bikini in the 1970s, the precursor to the modern thong bikini. Brazilian beach culture embraced minimal coverage in ways that shocked more conservative cultures, but it also celebrated the human body in its natural form. Norma Kamali revolutionized swimwear in the 1970s with her innovative designs. She created the sleeping bag coat and brought high fashion sensibility to beachwear. Her swimsuits were architectural, sculptural, and empowering. These designers weren't just making clothes, they were making statements about freedom, sexuality, modernity, and women's place in society. Every stitch was political. Chapter 11: Cultural Perspectives: How Different Societies Viewed the Revolution. The bikini and miniskirt revolution didn't happen uniformly across the globe. Different cultures had vastly different reactions, and understanding these perspectives reveals the complex relationship between clothing, culture, and identity. In Japan, the post-World War II era brought Western fashion influences, including shorter hemlines and swimwear. The 1960s saw Japanese youth embrace miniskirts with enthusiasm, particularly in Tokyo's Harajuku district. But this existed alongside traditional values. Japanese women navigated between kimono formality and Western modernity, creating a unique fusion. In India, traditional clothing like saris already revealed the midriff, yet Western bikinis and short skirts were considered far more provocative. The Bollywood film industry played a crucial role in normalizing Western-style swimwear and short dresses. Actresses like Sharmila Tagore wearing bikinis in films in the 1960s created national controversies, but also slowly shifted attitudes. In the Middle East and many Muslim-majority countries, the bikini revolution was met with strong resistance rooted in religious interpretation. However, this wasn't uniform. In the 1960s Iran, before the Islamic Revolution, women in Tehran wore miniskirts and bikinis. Photographs from that era show beaches and streets that looked remarkably Western. The 1979 revolution dramatically reversed these freedoms, demonstrating how quickly political change can affect personal choice. In Latin America, particularly Brazil and Argentina, beach culture embraced minimal swimwear with less controversy than in North America or Europe. The Brazilian approach to the body was less puritanical. Rio de Janeiro's beaches became laboratories for bikini innovation, with designs getting smaller and more daring throughout the decades. In Africa, colonialism had imposed European standards of modesty, but traditional African clothing in many cultures had always been less restrictive about showing skin. The post-colonial era saw some African nations embrace Western fashion, while others rejected it as neo-colonialism. Countries like Senegal and Kenya saw vibrant debates about whether miniskirts represented liberation or cultural imperialism. In the Soviet Union and Eastern Bloc countries, Western fashion was seen as decadent capitalist influence, yet young people smuggled in Western magazines and tried to recreate the styles. The miniskirt became a symbol of resistance against authoritarian control over personal expression. Australia, despite being British-influenced, developed a beach culture that enthusiastically adopted the bikini. The country's warm climate and outdoor lifestyle made beach-going central to national identity. By the 1970s, Australian beaches were among the most liberal in the Western world regarding swimwear. China's relationship with Western fashion was complex. During the Cultural Revolution of the 1960s and 70s, any form of revealing clothing was suppressed. Women wore identical Mao suits. The economic reforms of the 1980s and beyond brought Western fashion back, but with ongoing tension between modernization and traditional values. These global perspectives remind us that fashion freedom isn't universal. What represents liberation in one culture might represent oppression in another. The goal shouldn't be to impose one standard globally, but to ensure that wherever possible, individuals have choice. Chapter 12: The Male Gaze versus Female Agency, the Eternal Debate. Here's where things get really complicated. Are bikinis and short dresses empowering or objectifying? The answer is, it depends on who's choosing and why. The concept of the male gaze was introduced by film theorist Laura Mulvey in 1975. She argued that women in visual media are positioned as objects of male desire, filmed and presented for male pleasure. This theory applies to fashion photography, advertising, and media representations of women in bikinis and revealing clothing. When women wear bikinis in advertisements, are they exercising agency or being objectified? When a music video features women in short dresses, is it empowerment or exploitation? These questions don't have simple answers. Second-wave feminism in the 1960s and 70s was divided on this issue. Some feminists argued that beauty pageants, revealing clothing, and traditional femininity were tools of patriarchal oppression. They protested the Miss America pageant in 1968, arguing it reduced women to their appearance. But other feminists argued that women should be free to wear whatever they want, including bikinis and miniskirts, without judgment. The real oppression was being told what not to wear, whether that meant being forced to cover up or being criticized for choosing to do so. Third-wave feminism, emerging in the 1990s, embraced the idea that sexuality and femininity could be sources of power. Writers like Naomi Wolf argued that women could reclaim beauty and sexuality as tools of empowerment rather than oppression. The concept of choice feminism became controversial. Critics argued that individual choices don't exist in a vacuum. They're influenced by patriarchal culture. If society tells women their value lies in their appearance, can choosing to wear a revealing clothing really be free choice? But here's the counterargument. Denying women the right to make certain choices is paternalistic. Who decides which choices are really free? If a woman feels confident and empowered in a bikini, who has the right to tell her she's wrong?
The reality is nuanced. Context matters. A woman choosing to wear a bikini to the beach is different from industries that pressure women to be hypersexualized. Personal agency is different from systemic objectification. The male gaze is real. Women's bodies are commodified and objectified in ways men's aren't. But that doesn't mean women should be restricted in their clothing choices. The solution isn't to control what women wear, it's to change the culture that objectifies them regardless of what they wear. Studies have shown that women are judged and objectified whether they're in bikinis or business suits. The problem isn't the clothing, it's the cultural tendency to reduce women to their appearance. Men have played various roles in this history. Some men have been gatekeepers, creating laws and dress codes to control women's bodies, but male designers have also created liberating fashions. Male photographers have sometimes objectified women, but sometimes celebrated them. The issue isn't gender, it's power and...
Chapter 13. The Body Through the Ages. Changing Beauty Standards. The bikini and miniskirt revolution is inseparable from the evolution of beauty standards. What was considered the ideal body has changed dramatically over time, and this shaped what women wore and how they were perceived wearing it. In the 1920s, the ideal was boyish and flat. Flappers bound their breasts to achieve a straight silhouette. The dropped-waist dresses of the era reflected a beauty standard that minimized curves. This was partly a rejection of the corseted, exaggerated hourglass of the Victorian era. The 1930s and 40s saw curves return. Hollywood stars like Mae West and Rita Hayworth popularized fuller figures. The pin-up aesthetic of World War II celebrated womanly curves, breasts, hips, small waists. This was the body type that early bikinis were designed for and showcased. The 1950s took this further. Marilyn Monroe, with her hourglass figure, became the ultimate sex symbol. The ideal was voluptuous, but with a tiny waist. Women wore structured undergarments to create this shape, even in swimwear. Bikinis of this era often had boning and structure. Then came the 1960s and a dramatic shift. Twiggy, at 91 pounds, became the face of the era. The ideal became extremely thin, almost prepubescent. Miniskirts looked best on very slim legs. This was the beginning of a dangerous trend toward extreme thinness that would dominate for decades. The 1970s maintained the slim ideal, but added athleticism. Models were thin but toned. The fitness culture that emerged meant that the ideal body was achieved through exercise, not just dieting. Farrah Fawcett's athletic physique and her famous swimsuit poster reflected this. The 1980s supermodel era brought height and fitness to the forefront. Cindy Crawford, Elle Macpherson, and Claudia Schiffer had athletic, toned bodies. They were slim but strong. The aerobics craze meant women were expected to work out intensely to achieve the ideal. The 1990s took a dark turn. Heroin chic emerged with extremely thin models like Kate Moss representing an aesthetic of fragility and androgyny. This period saw eating disorder rates skyrocket as young women tried to achieve an unhealthily thin ideal. The 2000s brought some curves back, with celebrities like Beyoncé and Jennifer Lopez celebrating fuller figures, particularly celebrating curves in the hips and buttocks. But the standard remained largely thin, with curves in the right places, an often impossible natural combination. The 2010s saw the rise of Instagram body, extremely curvaceous hips and breasts with an impossibly tiny waist. Much of this aesthetic was achieved through plastic surgery, photo editing, or both. The Brazilian butt lift became one of the most popular cosmetic procedures. Throughout all these eras, women's bodies were judged in bikinis and short dresses. The clothing revealed whether you met the current standard. This created immense pressure, and for many women, suffering. The body positivity movement that emerged in the 2010s challenged these narrow standards. Plus-size models appeared in mainstream magazines and bikinis. Brands began using untouched photos. The conversation shifted from the perfect body to all bodies are beach bodies. But body positivity has its critics too. Some argue it's been co-opted by corporations selling products. Others say it still focuses too much on appearance. The newer concept of body neutrality, not loving or hating your body, but simply accepting it as the vessel you inhabit, offers another approach. What's clear is that beauty standards have always been cultural constructs, changing with time and place. The bikini and short dress have been canvases on which these standards are displayed and judged. Understanding this history helps us recognize that today's standards are no more natural or correct than those of any other era. Chapter 14: Athletic Revolution, Sports and the Fight for Practical Clothing. The history of women's athletic wear is crucial to understanding the bikini and short dress revolution. Female athletes fought some of the hardest battles for the right to wear practical, abbreviated clothing. In the late 1800s, women who wanted to exercise faced absurd obstacles. They were expected to wear corsets, long skirts, and multiple layers even while playing tennis or riding bicycles. The idea that physical exertion was harmful to women's reproductive systems was widely believed by doctors. Bicycle riding in the 1890s created a fashion crisis. Women couldn't ride bikes in long skirts. They got caught in the wheels and chains. This necessity drove the adoption of bloomers and split skirts. Suddenly, practical considerations overrode modesty concerns for many women. Tennis was another battleground. In the early 1900s, women played tennis in ground-length white dresses with long sleeves. French tennis player Suzanne Lenglen shocked Wimbledon in 1919 when she wore a calf-length dress with short sleeves. She was criticized as immoral, but she won championships, and gradually others followed. The 1932 Olympics saw women competing in track and field for the first time wearing shorts. The outrage was immediate. Many believed women's athletics were inherently unladylike and the clothing only made it worse, but the athletes persisted. Gertrude Ederle, the first woman to swim the English Channel in 1926, wore a two-piece swimsuit that showed her legs. Her athletic achievement helped normalize practical swimwear for women. By the 1960s, women athletes were wearing clothing very similar to men's in many sports. Tennis player Billie Jean King wore shorts at Wimbledon. Track athletes wore brief shorts and tank tops. These weren't sexual statements, they were practical necessities. But women's beach volleyball in the 1990s and 2000s created new controversies. The sport's governing body mandated bikini uniforms for female players, while men wore shorts and tank tops. Many players protested this double standard. Was the bikini requirement about athletic performance or about attracting viewers? The debate continues. In 2021, the Norwegian women's beach handball team was fined for wearing shorts instead of mandated bikini bottoms. The international outcry led to rule changes. This shows how recent these battles still are. Female soccer players have fought for appropriate uniforms, including the right to wear shorts instead of skirts. Basketball players transitioned from skirts to shorts over decades of resistance. Muslim athletes have fought for the right to compete in hijabs and full-body coverage. Brands like Nike creating athletic hijabs represented recognition that modesty and athleticism aren't incompatible. The athletic revolution proved something crucial. Women could be strong, competitive, and serious athletes while wearing less clothing. This helped separate revealing clothing from purely sexual contexts. A woman in athletic shorts or a sport bikini was an athlete first, not a sex object. This athletic legitimacy helped normalize bikinis and short clothing in other contexts. If Olympic athletes could compete in minimal clothing without it being sexual, maybe women at the beach could simply enjoy the sun and water without moral judgment. Chapter 15: The Economic Impact, the Business of Skin. The bikini and short dress revolution wasn't just cultural, it was economic. These garments created entire industries and changed how fashion business operated. The swimwear industry exploded in the mid-20th century. In 1946, swimwear was a small category of women's fashion. By the 1960s, it was a major industry. Brands like Speedo, Jantzen, and Cole of California became household names. The bikini created a new market segment. Suddenly, women needed multiple swimsuits, different styles for different occasions. This was a revolution in consumer behavior. Previously, women might own one bathing costume. Now they could own several bikinis. Fashion magazines dedicated increasing space to swimwear. Entire issues focused on beach fashion. This created advertising revenue and drove sales. The Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, launched in 1964, became one of the most profitable magazine issues in history.
Resort wear became its own category. Designers created collections specifically for vacation clothing, short dresses, cover-ups, and beach accessories. This drove tourism industry growth, particularly in warm weather destinations. The miniskirt created similar economic ripples. When hemlines rose, women needed new stockings, pantyhose instead of stockings with garters. The pantyhose industry boomed. Shorter skirts meant frequent updates to wardrobes as hemlines changed annually. Fast fashion accelerated this trend. By the 2000s, companies like H&M and Zara could produce miniskirts and bikinis cheaply and quickly, making them accessible to more women, but also creating environmental concerns. The modeling industry transformed around bikini and fashion photography. Supermodels became celebrities, earning millions for appearing in swimsuit campaigns. This created aspirational marketing that drove sales. Plastic surgery industries grew in parallel. As bikinis revealed more, pressure to have perfect bodies increased. Brazil became the plastic surgery capital of the world, partly due to its bikini culture. The Brazilian butt lift, breast augmentation, and liposuction industries are worth billions. Fitness industries also benefited. Gym memberships surged with Get Bikini Ready marketing. Workout videos, diet programs, and supplements sold using the promise of looking good and revealing clothing. Social media created new economic opportunities. Instagram influencers make careers posting bikini photos, earning money through sponsored posts and brand partnerships. The influencer economy is built partly on aspirational imagery of beautiful people in beautiful places wearing beautiful swimwear. Fashion Nova, Pretty Little Thing, and similar brands built empires on affordable, trendy bikinis and short dresses, marketed through social media influencers.